Hello Internet, this is BoneCarlos coming to you live from Daybreak, the beginning of the StarCraft 2 commentary shoutcast kind of thing. Today's opponents, or today's combatants, are going to be Silmaralis, spawning as the red Protoss. His opponent is going to be Hale, spawning as the blue version of that same race. Like I said before, Daybreak. It is easy to secure natural expansion, bit of a wide open rare area for attack, but since this is a PvP, more than likely we're not going to see any sort of expansions. Generally, PvP is one base play, usually a 4-gate, maybe a 2-gate robo kind of thing, and all depends on when and if a Protoss player decides to get a second Vespin Geyser. So take a look at that, just keep an eye on those Vespin Geysers and see when those come down. And you pretty much know the build order that the opponent is using. Already, Hale has his, looks like he already has his gateway up and running, and that's very interesting on 8 probes, so he cut back on that probe production for just a little bit to get that gateway up that much faster. Already has his assembler on the way, but looking at the income tab, his harvester count isn't exactly that far behind Silmaralis, but the gateway is very far behind in his corner. So Hale decided to do a little bit of a dicey play, getting up his gateway sooner for lack of an income, and this just screams early game pressure. If I were Silmaralis, I would already see that I already see that gateway going down. I already see the single assimilator. He's already thinking that his opponent's going to go for early DT harassment. And if I were to see this, I would scream just a very quick aggression by my opponent. I wouldn't worry too much about it. Grab an assimilator, grab a second one, get myself a sentry up as soon as possible, and just block off this ramp, because I know the attack is happening, or is going to happen very, very soon. And it looks like Hale is talking about a Korean 4-gate, which is pretty much the optimum, quote-unquote, time-wise, to get a 4-gate up and running. The pylons are perfectly timed. The pylons are perfectly placed. So as soon as your proxy pylon goes down and finishes up, your warp gates are finished up and ready to commence that warp gate technique in. So yeah, I'm pretty sure that's exactly what a Korean 4-gate is. And if I were Silmaralis, I'd be like, well, still get that early sentry in, but he did need that second assimilator. And it is a crappy version of it. So if Silmaralis would have just put down a second assimilator, got down a sentry, instead of that stalker, he would have been able to block off that ramp, keep that proxy probe from being able to put down that proxy pylon in the main gate, in the main base of Silmaralis, and he would have been A-okay. But he's decided to go with that single stalker, which is very interesting choice. Already the cybernetic score has 50% warp gate research being finished up, compared to Silmaralis' 25%. He doesn't have that gateway count up just yet, but I expect Hale to put down 1, 2, and then he should have had enough for a third right then and there, since but he is just a little bit late. He did say it was a crappy version though, so A-okay on my accounts. And that 4th warp gate should be put down very, very soon, especially if he wants to continue on and have those warp gates finished up at exactly the right time. It looks like Silmaralis is actually wasting the chrono boost on his stalkers. Not very advisable, since as soon as that warp gate finishes it up, he's going to have the numbers advantage anyway, no matter how much you chrono boost out these regular gateways. Better use it on that cybernetic score. Maybe you could have used it to warp out a sentry, since you do have the gas for it. Definitely going out for double gas. Already has that Twilight cancel, so expect some sort of blink play. So Silmaralis is just scattering around his natural expansion, just checking to make sure there isn't a proxy pylon just yet. It's going to look like it's going to be 2 stalkers versus 3. 2 stalkers are forced to retreat. So Silmaralis going to go ahead and try to get that probe. The probe does manage to survive. I would actually like for him to give chase with a single stalker to try to bring it down. That pylon will it does fall, and Hale is in a bit of a quandary. He does have a single probe or pylon at there just to start that warp and pressure. That probe did survive, so we're going to go ahead and put down that proxiness. Warp gate just finishes up for Silmaralis. DTs are going to come in, but that takes about 2 minutes to warp in. That is not going to happen. Sentries are there, One force field will do it. Nice. The force field does manage to cut off 2 of those stalkers, breaking off the entire army of Hale. This stalker will go down very, very quickly. Another proxy pylon is going to go down. A couple of zealots are going to be there. This sentry does not have enough for another warp in. And now, Silmaralis is in a world of hurt. That sentry is going to go down. A couple of zealots are going to be warped in. A little bit of a micro here to try to save these stalkers, but they are not going to be enough. The stalker count is too high. Hale does manage to break off the hurt stalker away from the rest of the pack. Those 2 zealots do fall, but a single volley does bring down that stalker count down to 0. Probes are being pulled off the line. And right now, it looks like Silmaralis is just trying to buy himself some time. A single DT will win the game for him at the moment, so there is no robotics bay. There's no robotics bay or robotics facility in his main base. That pylon will go down. This dark shrine, it looks like this dark shrine will finish up. It looks like Silmaralis is going to go ahead and warp in a couple of DTs. Not sure exactly where he put them. Looking, there it is, and there they are. They're going to go ahead and break in to that stalker count. They're going to go ahead and bring it down to very, very quickly. Hale is going to go ahead and rule the bird. Already the robotics facility is put down. The probes do manage to cut off any sort of retreat by these stalkers. They slip past the DTs, and they're all going to go ahead and head on home. What I would like to do is see Silmaralis actually warp in a single DT over here just to continue the harassment back home at Hale's base, but he's just way too preoccupied trying to bring down these stalkers. You're A-okay, Silmaralis. Get those pros back onto the mining. Just do whatever you can to save. It is canceled. That pylon did go down, and Silmaralis actually has plenty of minerals to just warp in mass amounts of pylons. This single DT already has 3 kills. The other one has 2. More zealots are being warped in, and Silmaralis just fell apart. He had the DTs. He had what he needed. He could have won the game, but there was just too many units there to be able to bring down that micro from Hale. Continues to save his zealots. This zealot has 7 kills. All of those workers were killed. 24 workers killed. Looking at the units lost tab, we see 36 units lost by Silmaralis. 17 by Hale. Looks like those DTs did do some damage, but didn't do enough damage whatsoever. Already an observer on the field, so Hale has this very well in hand, actually. As soon as this observer actually catches up with the forces of Silmaralis, he's going to be A-okay. Looks like Silmaralis is trying to chrono boost out of those probes. He lost a ton. I don't see him coming back anytime soon. He's going to warp in a few more units. It looks like a couple more zealots. I'd actually like to see him transform these 2 Dark Templar into Archons. As soon as this observer gets on the field, these DTs are going to go down very quickly. There it is. They go down. Came over. Hale continues the warping these units. That TD is still doing plenty of damage. A couple of fresh zealots actually do make mincemeat out of the weakened units of Silmaralis. Another sentry warped in, but too little, too late. It doesn't do a good job of blocking off, force fielding off that ramp. The game is in the bag. Silmaralis knows it. GG. He has left the game. So that was it for this cast. I hope you guys enjoyed this short but sweet little engagements here, and here. But that was it for me. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you guys want me to cast one of your own games, leave a link to one of the major replay sites down below. I'll be more than happy to take care of it for you guys. Other than that, I am out of here.